Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Hamilton, and today we're going to be doing a live system design of my new project, Placemark. So for those that don't know, a system design is basically an outline of what you're going to be building and how it all kind of works together. I like to do this before any project because I think it gives a lot of direction for what you'll actually be building, which saves a lot of time. And allows you to find out if there's any tricky things you have to figure out before you actually get to building. So that's what we're going to be doing this morning. I'm just going to do a quick live system design and see how far we can get. I'll be using Google Slides for this just because it's just really easy to use and easy to share here. So yeah, let's get into it. So basically what we're going to do is just talk real quick about the problem and then how I'm planning on solving that. And it's always important to kind of have that context before going into a system design, just so you can remember what it is you're actually solving for. Once we do that, then we'll go directly into the system design, and that's where we'll be spending most of our time in this video. So the problem that I'm trying to solve with this project is for sharing locations. I found it's pretty tedious to create and share collections of locations with others. And I know a lot of people that have made their own workarounds about it. I definitely have done that myself. So I figured I'd just try to solve for this and kind of see what happens. And so here comes Placemark, the project that we're building, which is just trying to solve for this. It's really just trying to make creating and sharing those collections of locations really, really easy. So that's it. Let's just kind of dive into some designing of how the software system might work. I'm going to start with UI. I think it's often really useful to start with kind of the interaction that you want to happen, and you can kind of work backwards from there to figure out how you might build it. I'm not going to design everything right now. I think if we just focus on the main flow, that will get us 80 or 90% of the way there, and then can design some other things like about pages, sell pages, and stuff later on. That's not really the core of the problem. So yeah, just gonna start with like the main UI and kind of what I think it's gonna be like. So here I'm just gonna add some shapes and stuff. I don't really think it matters what software you use to do system design. Really, the most important thing is that it's easy to understand as you get to build time and remember kind of what you're thinking. So for the creation and sharing and I guess like consuming of collections, I was kind of thinking it would be good to just provide a list of locations visually and just have them on maps. I've seen a lot of sites like Thrillist and Infatuation that all kind of have a similar UI design. So I think we'll just start there, and once I get that up and running, can definitely iterate a few more times. So I'm just pretending this is like a screen, and we'll just pretend like this is the browser. And then I was thinking that inside of it we would just have like a little list of like locations on the left side, and then so these would all be like little location things over here, and then there would be like little just like spots on a map over here, and you could like click on those and it would bring up the list, or you can click on the list and it would show you on the map where that thing is. So just make this clear. This is like location 1, location 2, etc. So yeah, I think that's probably like the basic page for this app. This is a collection here. You have a link, it takes you to this collection, and that's probably the main thing we want. And to keep it really simple, honestly, we could have like the creation page basically be just this, with just like a little, add a new thing right here. Whereas when you're, I guess, like going to a link, there just like is a plus, or there isn't a plus there. let's see if there's like a plus icon here. Oh yeah, we'll just use this. So this is just a reminder. It probably won't look like this, but yeah, this is like, all right, you can add something at the end. Okay, I think that's probably good for the base UI. We have a list of locations here that are part of this Placemark or this collection. You can click on it, it does stuff, and then that's it. So now we can start thinking about like, all right, what are the entities and like data stuff that's kind of related to this UI that was necessary to power this UI. And yeah, I usually like to go in this order because I do think it just kind of flows from what is the end result kind of down into the specifics of how this is encoded. So let's get into the data model. So we definitely have some things here. We have, let's make a text box for each like entity, I guess. So we definitely have like locations are a thing. But I think even bigger than locations is collections. Like I don't know if this app is gonna need to keep locations individually. I think it's really just going to want collections. That's like the big operator that we have. So there'll definitely be collections, and then this is going to be something where you can create and update these collections. So basically whenever you have that, you're probably going to have like a user model of some sort. So we'll have like users here. And what does a user have? Like user has like username, a password. This will probably be, we probably don't want to deal with passwords, or probably use some external authenticator thing. But we'll just like say maybe external here. And then what else do we have? What do they have? Like emails, I guess. We'll probably need an email, and that might be good for now. For the users. So the collections, these things are going to have like locations, and then each location might have like a name. It might have like maybe some description, and then it's going to have an address, right? Because if we're going to put it on a map, we need to know like how do we actually map that. We'll definitely want an ID. I mean, this kind of gets a little bit into implementation here, but I think it's important for basically every collection or every entity in a collection to have a primary key that's not related to any of these like user changing fields. I think that just makes data models way, way, way cleaner. And then collections, I guess these are gonna need like a creator ID. Which will basically point to our user ID, and that's how we can like know who the owner is. Maybe owner is a better name for this, owner ID. So that's how we can know like, all right, let's grab all collections for this user. We can go find it in collections, and maybe that's how we deal with editing or something, like who can edit. And I think that's pretty good. I mean, I'm trying to just hit an MVP right now, and I'm going to try to just build that like, in one weekend. So we don't want to make this too complicated, and I think this is about the bare minimum we need. So the way that this would work, I guess, is, there's some API that you can get for a collection, and we can look at the collections. We'll probably just have a blob of like locations that's here, and it'll just have a list of location, which has a name, which might show up here. It'll have an address, which allows us to actually map it out, and then just an owner ID, which can let us know like, can you edit this or not? And that's kind of how we can start off with it. Cool. Yeah, once we do that, I think this will give us enough data to power this main page, and then we can kind of worry about other features later on. So now that we know what our UI is kind of going to look like and some basic idea of how we might interact with this app, and have a know what kind of data we'll need, we can start building the actual architecture for this. So I'm just going to start out by putting a basic architecture together. I'm currently building some boilerplate that basically has just a pretty standard architecture for me to start out with, and I'll just model that right here. It's a pretty simple, just a web tier with a backend tier and a database. Not all apps need this, but I think it's like most apps will do really well and scale really well if they just start here. And it's really fast and simple. So here we'll have like our application server, it's often called. Here we'll have our web server. And here we have our DB. We're actually going to store, this data model. And so let's see if we can grab this stuff here. So the web server is going to be talking to the application server. The application server, I mean, this is just going to be the API, right? So this thing is probably never going to talk to the web server, so we're just going to have a single connection here. And then similarly, I would expect us to just have the app server that is going to talk to our database over here. For specifics on technologies, I'm planning on running this as .NET Core because I like it. Similarly, this will be Next.js. And then this DB is actually going to be Postgres here. Postgres. Okay, so let's think about what we need here. We're definitely going to need an API. So let's create another little thing for our API. So system architecture API. Or we'll just say the application server. So we're going to dive into the application server and figure out, what endpoints do we actually need here. I think the only ones are... The only things that we actually need to handle is going to be authentication, because, this is, we have a users, and you need a user to log in order to actually, edit or create these collections. So we'll definitely need authentication of some sort. And then we'll also need like collections. So I don't know why I did that. But we're definitely going to need some way to retrieve collections. Oop. And I guess like create collections. So collections, we want to be able to retrieve. And also create here. So retrieve, we'll probably just use a standard like collections /ID thing here. So this is kind of like the URL. This guy's just gets collection corresponding to ID. And then create will probably just do like a I don't know, maybe like a collection /create. This might create collection, return ID. And then maybe we also have like a modify, like an update, because let's say that you're a user and you're, modifying stuff. You're probably going to want to do like a collection /ID update or something, and maybe we just upload some JSON, and then we'll just come to this data model over here and update the locations. So I think that's pretty good. That'll give us like, I think, all the functionality we actually need for collections. Authentication, we'll probably just need a auth endpoint. I'm planning on using some Google cloud platform like authenticator. So I haven't looked that closely at the API, but I mean, we can guess what the kinds of things we'll need is. We'll probably need a login, or probably like authenticate. So it can tell us authenticate. This can log in and like check if logged in for the credentials. So I guess just verify credentials is really what this thing's gonna do. Verify credentials, and then we probably just want like a log out. So maybe this is like auth/logout, and then this might be like just auth/verify. Those sound pretty reasonable to me, and I think that's all we need, right? So if you think about the flow, first you have to log in if you're gonna like create something, or modify something, and then we just have to verify like, are you logged in? Do these credentials make sense? If you are, we'll have that. And then we just need the collections to kind of go together. So I think those are probably the endpoints that are most important for us right now. Might be missing some things, but I think that's generally okay. And we can imagine that, you know, retrieving and creating and updating, these will just talk through to the database, and we'll just kind of update our data model that we created earlier. Great. All right, so what is left? Basically, our web server, I think, is left, and this is going to be like the forward part that users are actually hitting, like the front end. So we're going to want a few different pages here. So let's create another one and think about what those are going to be. So this is system design, web server. So that first thing that we want, this primary page, I don't think it's going to live at the base domain, because you can imagine, like, you know, you'd first go to my website, let's say it's like placemark.xyz or something. It's not going to make sense to just like pump you out here because there's no collection. We have no collection info. Usually for the you know, base domain, we have some sort of cell page. So we'll say like, you know, landing page, or I guess like home pages is better. This will probably live at / and this will just be like cell page / about the product. That seems like a good thing for that. And then we'll probably need some sort of sign-in page for like, you know, logging you in if you ever want to do anything. So we'll have like a login page. And maybe if you're, you know, trying to do something like create, we'll bump you over to the login page with the redirect or something. So this will probably be like /login. This takes, you know, takes username, password, and will auth with server. So we can do that. And then the last page that we really need is this page, and we can think about like what the cleanest API is. I think like I like to put things like this when it's on the same server, like the interactive portion at a /app. So it's like collections page really, but we also want to make it pretty clear that, you know, this URL is readable. So probably like /app /collections /ID here. Probably makes sense for being both readable and really maintainable for like where this thing lives. And this will be, you know, the interactive collections page here. And then honestly, if we want to get if you want to think about this, like we can probably have most of this page's code like reused for the creator. So we'll say like collections page editor we can maybe have this at like /app/collections, /ID/edit or something like that. Or, maybe we use one of these URL parameters and have like view equals edit. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I think that's probably what we're going to do and kind of where it's going to live. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about this, but let's kind of run through it again. So, what are we trying to solve? We're just trying to share locations because right now it's pretty tedious to do that. Collections of locations specifically. So Placemark is trying to make that really easy. How are we making this easy? Well, we're just going to have you be able to build like collections, kind of like infatuation and stuff. And then we'll have it on a map that's like, easy to see. For our data, we're just going to store the collections with the ID, who's the owner, and then all the locations that actually exist in that. And this will just be a blob, probably, in like, Postgres JSON-B or something. So if we want to add other things later, we can do that, like, any sort of data enrichment, maybe from geolocation APIs and stuff. Then we have our users, which is just your standard, like, ID, username, password, email. We'll see about this. And then, yeah, we just have like a web application server and then our database. That's pretty simple. And then, yeah, our API, what does it need to do? Just needs to do CRUD updates to our collections and then some sort of way to authenticate. So we have those APIs there. And then for the web server, we just have a few pages that we actually need to construct for this MVP, which is have a home page, have a way to log in, and then a way to see collections and also to edit collections. And that's really all we need. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, I'm sure we missed some things, so probably get to building this, and I'm sure I've probably missed a few things here. But this is a really like quick project. It's not life-changing or life-threatening or anything like that. So I think like this level of detail is fine for things that you'll build in a day or two, even like a week. If this was something that had more constraints or I was really trying to push for, I might spend a little bit more time on the system design. But in general, I think you just kind of design as much as you want until it starts to become a little bit tedious and you're kind of like ready to start coding on it. And that's like, all right, you probably got enough detail. And I feel that here. So yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. So yeah, I think we're at a pretty good stopping point for this and ready to kind of move on to the next step of the project. Thanks for live system designing with me this morning. If you like this and want to see more content like this, like the video, subscribe here, and I'll be pushing out new updates on my project cycles in the coming weeks. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. okay.